Right. He's going to fire the gun. Once he gets airborne, yeah, he must put the undercarriage up.
Right.
If you don't put the undercarriage up, you won't make the firing circuit. There's a micro switch on the nose leg that breaks the firing circuit to the gun, purely because the gun pod is behind the nose undercarriage. So you don't really want it to fire with the gear down. Right? He then, when he selects, these are the 5 weapon stations underneath. When he selects the centre where the gun pod is, as soon as he selects that starter motor inside the gun pod runs up to full RPM.
Sure.
And stays running. All the time that's selected, it stays running. Then, you're asking me now. Then here, you've got 3 settings for the gun. You've got air to ground fixed, air to ground computed, which don't matter anymore, or air to air. So we'd put that to air, and that would then give him the right information on his gun sight. Last thing he does, master arm from safe to arm, then all he's got to do is pull the trigger.
Right.
Every time he pulls the trigger. And until he deselects the centre line, if he pulls the trigger and lets go, that starter motor will still stay running. Alright?
Okay. So where does he fire the missiles from?
Same place, the trigger.
Same trigger, but
different thing. Yeah, you've got here. On the other side of this switch, you can't see it very well. Oh, no, you can't see it at all well, actually. This aircraft has had a modification done on it. But anyway, on this switch, you could select either Sidewinder or Sparrow. All right?
Yep.
Sidewinder, when you select Sidewinder, you'll get one of these 4 lights will come up to show which one of your 4 Sidewinders is actually selected. Alright? Then all he does then is wait, the Sidewinder picks up the heat from the aircraft and he gets like a growl in his headset.
Sure.
Once he's got a sufficient growl, master arm to arm, pull the trigger, winder's gone. The other one, Sparrow. With the Sparrows, because they're radar guided, they used to be tuned to the aircraft. So the nav in the back has to make the switch with the radar. That will then tune the missiles, and you'll get 4 selected lights come up on this panel to show that which one of all your missiles are tuned. Alright?
Yep.
And again, once he's got all that, and again, I think with Sparrows it relies a lot more on the nav, because the nav has to tell him, if he's in range and all that on the radar. Again, it's master arm to arm and pull the trigger. That's just a jettison switch. The missiles, if he's got 4 big ones on, Sparrows like those, Sparrows like those over there, you'll have 4 lights come up. Alright, with the gun on the centre line, like that we are here, he can fire the missiles in the normal sequence, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. If you've got a tank on the centre line, when the tank's electrically connected to the aircraft, you can't fire these front 2 ones. You can only fire the back 2 ones, and then you'd have to jettison the tank to fire the front 2.
Okay.
The reason for that is because the tank is so much bigger than the gun pod. When the missiles were blown off the aircraft, because they have to come down to go forwards, they would hit the tank before the motor.
Okay.
So you can't fire the front 2. And what he'll do is, if he's got a tank on, that light there will light up green, and that actually says TK, which will tell him. But he shouldn't if he's got a tank on anyway, from his fuel gauges.
So his gun sight would be reflected onto that?
Yeah. And it's actually got this is a duplication of what the nav can see in his radar scope in the back. That's the gun sight. What they call the LCOS, Lead Computing Optical Sighting System.
What we call the HUD HUD.
Yeah, it's an earlier version of the HUD. And what that does is, like when you hear people shooting pigeons with a 12 bore, you aim slightly in front of them.
Yeah.
It actually computes the lead from the target.
So you actually lock it on.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
That computes the lead for you.
So how does it know how far away from the target? So it measures the distance and then...
Done through the radar somehow, I think. Don't know, that's fairy territory. I was never any good at fairy stuff. But the rest of it is... The only other armament switches you've got are your jettison switches for your tanks. And that's about it, really.
Okay, thanks. That's great.
But they did there was a big modification program in the pipeline where they're going to do this HOTAS mod. Hands on throttle and stick.
Right.
So